Regional reporter for LEEA, and I'm here with Alison Earl, who is a mindset and behaviour expert, and she will be speaking at LiftEx Regional in Sydney on May 24 and 25. Alison, tell us a little bit about your background and what you do.
So my background's really in behaviour change and mindset and really helping people, I guess, navigate the relentless level of change and uncertainty that we are faced with within our workplaces and the industry reforms and all of that sort of thing, and really helping them take more control of their personal experience of stress, change and uncertainty, so they can perform at their best. We've got better levels of well-being and performance and engagement within organisations. So I really started my career. It's interesting. I said the only thing I didn't want to do was market research, and that ended up being my first job. Surprise. But what that really did is I launched my career into understanding human behaviour and motivation, and as that was about 20 years ago now. And over the course of my career, I've worked in a lot of healthcare related change. I've worked in nearly every industry that you can think of, and I've helped build new businesses from the ground up in Sydney, London and New York. It was when I was in New York that I really got into this space of behaviour change in a much bigger way. So I've been running a collaboration with the Harvard School of Public Health for about 7 or 8 years now, guest lecturing in behavioural economics there, and studied positive psychology. And I really brought that together with my background in motivation and understanding human behaviour and sport background to really do the sort of work I do today, which is really around unlocking that potential of people and making sure that the people within organisations are very aligned with what the organisation's trying to achieve, how we want to show up as individuals, and navigating this new world of constant change.
And how did you come into contact with LEEA?
I work with a number of industries. It's one of those things that it was probably more of a referral base. So I've worked with all sorts of industries. Like actually in one day when the COVID pandemic started, I did workshops with Facebook in Singapore, Elders Insurance and Dairy Australia, all in the one day. And I mean, you could not get more different contexts of these sorts of industries and the pressure that people within them are really experiencing. But what I found through the work I do is that it's the human experience of stress, change and uncertainty and that pressure to perform with fewer resources. It's so universal. And so from that perspective, I find I end up being referred into a number of industries that you wouldn't think are necessarily connected, and yet we all have that in common.
Do you find there are always the same questions that people have, such as a recurring theme?
There's no doubt that burnout and resource shortage, like labour shortage, is just such a major issue at the moment. And so there's definitely a lot of, I guess, questions that are themed around that. Like how do we appropriately support people and tackle this burnout epidemic? And yet at the same time, organisations are under tremendous pressure to deliver against whether it's rapid timelines or contracts or whatever it is. So there are a lot of recurring questions in that space. How do we appropriately support the workforce and their well-being and reduce burnout? And yet at the same time, we really need people to step up and rise to the challenge. So there are a lot of consistent themes in that sort of area.
And of course, you'll be involved in not one, but 2 sessions at LiftEx Regional. Can you tell me about that?
The first session will be really more of an inspirational talk, and not so much about the industry it's specifically, but more about how can we understand the pressure on the people within the industry, and importantly, start to think about how we better support our people to perform at their best, but also support that well-being and resilience and navigating stress and uncertainty and change and the way that their roles might be changing over the coming years and all of that sort of thing. So The first one will be more of a talk in that space where I'll be sharing some insights and some strategies that organisations can be taking on with their people. And the second session is more of a panel discussion, so we can get way more into the specifics of the industry and really talk about the pressures that the industry is experiencing and how can we be leveraging some of these tools in a more specific way, which I'm really excited about.
Why do you think our organisations should be thinking about mindset and resilience at all?
There's some really interesting statistics, quite alarming statistics actually out there about the impact of what we'd call psychological injury. So we often think of physical workers' claims and the impact that that might have from a wellbeing standpoint. But the psychological aspect, and the reality is it's not just the pressure of the job, it's also just what is going on in our world. And the fact that we've just had this major COVID pandemic, there's raising interest rates, there's been so many natural disasters, there's just so many factors that are impacting people and their well-being. There's been an 80% increase in psychological claims in the last 5 years. That's a huge amount. So a lot of people are being impacted by these factors like burnout and breakdown. They cost 5 times more to resolve, and they take 3.5 times longer for people to get back into the workplace. So the negative impact on our workforce, if they have those sorts of breakdowns that are totally preventable, is really detrimental. And what a lot of the newer research around stress and burnout has shown us is that our mindset is one of the most powerful tools that we have against the stress epidemic. And the way we think about stress and pressure will actually completely change the way that our bodies are responding to it. And is this a helpful or a harmful experience? So we have so much capacity to actually impact this. And if we can do that, then not only can we improve the experience for the people within our industry, but we can prevent completely unnecessary breakdowns and shortages, staff shortages potentially in the workforce.
And finally, could you give us your 5 tips on how to manage stress?
I'm a huge believer in the way we think about our stress. So first things first is really thinking about what is our stress mindset, and do we have a helpful or harmful stress mindset? So, and really trying to get out of that place of threat and into a place of challenge and taking things on in a really healthy way. If we can do that, it has beautiful benefits for us, and really keeping it simple. One of the things I've learned over the years is that people know a lot. There's a lot of knowledge out there, and yet we don't necessarily do all the right things. So if you asked my collaborators at the Harvard School of Public Health, what are their 5 things? They would say, eat a healthy diet, drink in moderation, exercise regularly, don't smoke, and get a good night's sleep. That would be the 5 things. And yeah, I can guarantee you the vast majority of people are not doing those things. So it's all about keeping it simple. So what are the things that you could do in 2 minutes or less that actually have a really positive impact on your body? Really look for those 5 opportunities a day to do a 2-minute thing that's actually going to have a positive impact on you. And that's 10 minutes a day that can totally transform your mind and your body and keep you well and keep you active. So that wasn't necessarily 5 things, but it was more of a philosophy about stress. And I will be building on that in our talk at the conference.
I'll definitely be trying those for sure. Some great tips there. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and good luck with the conference.
Thank you so much.